F2, the final race of the season here in Abu Dhabi in season 41. I am your commentator and I am joined once again by Harry. Wow, did you see Kevin Zunderberg lunge up the inside of that driver then in the Red Bull? What was going on there? We're only in qualifying. He's gone...
Yeah,
the McLaren. I think he was blocking him, Harry.
Yeah, straight into it. I think it's crucial because he's 6 points behind Tisha in this championship for second. He needs to show he has that Verstappen mentality, just send it wherever possible. I think that's the best way to put it today.
You're probably right. Yeah, and I think that McLaren was probably blocking him and he's just like, right, I'm going for it, and just chucked it up the inside. But yeah, a bit tasty. But anyway, I'm your commentator. I'm joined by Harry once again, as we have been all season. Yes, Pelly, we are on the right account now, but we are live. It's going to be a good cracker, good end to the season, Harry.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting fight. Of course, White Sheep won it a week ago, and now it's Ferrari's turn to try and take a title for themselves after the Haas drivers stole the drivers from them out in Brazil. But yeah, currently 14 points between Ferrari and Haas. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes as Williams crosses the line to start a fly, and then you have, I believe it's White Sheep, coming round the final two corners. What can the Haas car do? Can they find their feet once again? They've had 2 8s in a row. They cross the line to go provisional pole early on with a 21.7. And so many cars coming across. Ivan only to third, with Vettel up to second in that Haas. Matt goes to third, as many more cars coming through. Ward's to fourth. I believe that's Christian to 22.5. Ben up to third. Then the two Ferraris. Tisho fourth. Tiago goes to third. Then Mattia Manga to sixth. And now Sieb to eighth. I'm just counting at this point.
There's been a collision. Ward's has just crashed into the back of Nick. So the Racing Bull of Nick, Ward's has set a lap. They've both set laps. So I don't know why they're colliding with each other, because they're both on in-laps. But yeah, Ward's has gone into the back of IRT Nick in that Racing Bull, and he's got a 5-place grid penalty, Harry.
Not ideal. But yeah, anything to stop me from counting numbers. Yes, I'm very talented in that sense, but not what you really want to be seeing early on in qualifying, where so many cars just bunched up. You're going to see a few more collisions, I can guarantee that, just because everyone is all concentrated in that middle and final sector. I think it's 18 odd cars split by 40 seconds out on track. There's not much room to breathe whatsoever, as yeah, we've got Ben currently on a hot lap in the Alpine car, depleting their battery as they work their way up towards, I believe it's 2.3 after the first two sectors. Not the best of sectors the Alpine would have hoped for, especially with a few races out. They kind of need to come back with a bang to try and help Alpine get as high as possible in the constructors, currently sitting 8th on, I believe that's about 47 points. But round the final corner, what can the Alpine driver do here today? It's a 23.0 and slowest of them all so far.
Yeah, he won't be happy with that. It's Ben, and Kevin Zunderberg as well is back on another lap as he comes out of turn 5 down that DRS straight in at the Red Bull. How do you think Kevin Zunderberg will fare today, Harry?
I think he'll do well. He was showing a very lively form, especially with having that race ban in Mexico. He kind of knew he had to drive in Jeddah and Brazil. Hopefully he can continue that 3-race podium streak to end off the season under the lights. But 2 sectors done, 1 sector to go. He's currently what looks to be aced them both, but we will truly know once everyone has set a lap, and of course Kevin Zunderberg is the final one to do so. So we will finally get to see who is quickest in what sector in a few moments' time, as Zunderberg ends up doing the exact opposite and dives into the pits.
So you don't want any more part of this. You've got Ivan and Pablo on outlaps, every other driver into the pit lanes. 10 minutes to go. However, considering it's PSF2, the second best drivers in the world on PlayStation, the gap is quite a big gap at the moment. We usually see it a lot closer. However, if you look from Nick down to Mattia Manga, they're about a tenth apart, and you've got 4 drivers just in the 1:21.8. What sort of pole position time are we looking at, Harry? Have you got any idea?
Much quicker than I can ever do. I'm still about 1.4 seconds off Ben if I was to be in this session. But I'd say
same.
with White Sheep being up there, I think pole could be a low 21. If we see a 120, that is perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, the driver would have got everything out the car, but likelihood in that, we will find out. Of course, these guys are some of the best. And honestly, some of these drivers deserve to be in the top tier of PS. Example, White Sheep and Kevin Zonnenberg, they've just been outstanding this season. But Pablo about to start. Ben, of course, on one. I believe Ben's actually on an in, so is Ivan. I can't actually tell anymore.
Ivan's on a flyer, but he's being blocked. The McLaren did not get out of his way, and that's the second time already since we've been in qualifying that the McLaren has refused to get out of the way of a driver. The first time was Kevin Zonnenberg, where he just lunged up the side of him and hit him because he was frustrated. And now Ivan as well, where the McLaren has just point blank refused to move. So there's a problem with the papayas here in Abu Dhabi already.
I think this is mind games, because I'm looking at the standings and my PC screen's just blanked to me for some reason, but the 2 cars the McLarens have impeded have both unironically been the 2 cars directly behind them in the championship. McLaren on 73, Red Bull 64 and Williams 60. Both for Red Bull and Williams has been impeded, so this could be some mind games from the papaya outfit. Willing to gamble penalty points, but
he's just validated it right on the last corner as well, Harry. But that's a great insight, actually, what you've just said. It could actually be the mind games. You're right, as you've just explained why. So now we know there might actually be some momentum behind the reasoning for this. But a few drivers coming out now. You've got Wards in the Aston Martin, you've got Sieb in the Mercedes, Benjamin in the Alpine. He's also on a lap. He's just coming down in towards turn 9 at the left-handed hairpin, coming in towards sector 3. So the Alpine driver will be next. There's a yellow flag on track. I think it's just drivers moving out of the way. I don't see anything.
Yeah, just cars.
Yeah, just cars. Here we go. Benjamin around Latifi corner at turn 14, and then through the double rights as he will head towards the checkered flag. The Alpine driver of Benjamin, currently P4, a 1:21.8. He's up on his lap time. He is a 1:21.6, and it is provisional pole with 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, Wards has just gone double purples. He's 3 tenths up on his lap at the moment. Unfortunately, that's going to put him only P3, if my calculations are correct. 88% of the time, yes, 88%, they are wrong. As, yeah, that is just the joys of me trying to put numbers out there. But Wards has had that momentum in the first 2 sectors. He has not dropped them whatsoever. His standards have only increased in this final part, and it is provisional pole. Make it 13% of the time I'm now correct, as I think I deserve a percent for that.
Absolutely, half a tenth is what Wards finds himself improving by. In pole position by. Is half a tenth in front of Benjamin. Sieb in the Mercedes came for a 1:21.7, so it is now starting to get closer. The 2 Ferraris are both on laps. Ticho is 4 tenths up. This is going to put him around a 1:21.4, so he's the sort of benchmarker now. Yes, Pele, absolutely. So Ticho around turn 14 we go. Back onto the throttle. Doesn't want to invalidate it. And the Scuderia driver into the double rights, and then a short run up to the line as he keeps hold of the rears. It's a 1:21.4, and it's P1 with 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, White Sheep's just crossed only to go P3, and then Tiago also set 2 sectors alight. So far, he's only a tenth and a half up after the first 2 sectors. He will cross to go 1-2 for Ferrari. That's probably the 4th time I've seen that in qualifying in the last 3 races from the Scuderia. They are absolutely acing qualifying trim as of recent, as I believe Mattia Manga is on a cooldown. Most cars are actually on their cooldown, probably working their way back into the pit. Typically have 3 runs in a qualifying session here. Seeb now being the next car to enter that pit entry. So yeah, do not be surprised if the track goes silent again. But
you are right about the Ferraris though, Harry. They do seem to be so closely matched in qualifying, and you always see them 1, 2, or 3, 4, or 5, 6. They're always next to each other. It's like they're holding hands throughout the qualifying session. They just don't want to be split up. And they do a fantastic job in that scarlet red. The AMR Ticho and AMR Tiago, they're just like identical twins, aren't they? That's what they look like. Diogo Silva in the Red Bull is also on an in-lap, and Salvo in the Kick Sauber has invalidated it, so everybody is on their way back in or in the pit lane, getting ready for their final runs for the final time this season.
Yeah, touching up on what you said about they're like twins or something. They both drive for the AMR team. They're both driving Ferrari here. They're both Portuguese. They both start and end with a T and an O. They both have an I as a second letter. And they're both
got the same number of digits.
Yeah. Quite a lot of things all add up.
yeah, literally. They are like twins. It's funny. Matthias Gullit in the Williams is going to get us underway. So we'll stay on board with the Williams driver as we go around turn 3 and 4 as we head down towards turn 5 at that hairpin in towards sector 2 for the Williams driver. Back onto the throttle, he'll burn that battery as we head out of turn 5, and the rear wing will open as that DRS kicks in to give him an extra bit of horsepower for Matthias Gullit. And then it's going to be slam on the brake time as we try and lock up and slide in towards turn 6 and 7. Very easy to lose the rears as you come out of there, but he's done a brilliant job of controlling it, and he needs to find an extra couple of attempts if he wants to compete at the front, and he's only 8/100ths up at the moment. That would put him still in P10 as it stands. I'm sure he'll get a good sector 3 though. That might be where he's not managed to create a decent lap. Is through sector 3, so we might find that here as he tries to get up through the grid from P10. The Williams driver, I'm sure, will at least go up to P9 in front of Mattia Manga. Here comes Matthias Gullit to the line, and he does P9.
Yeah, Kevin Zunberg's just spun in turn 1, making their 3rd attempt of a hot lap. Usually the 3rd time's a charm. Unfortunately for the Red Bull, the charm has not arrived yet. Maybe the 4th time will be the charm. Never mind. Into the wall and out of the session.
Yeah, purposely.
So
did he crash there? Purposely crash?
He just full on turned left and right hander.
Yeah.
All I can say is, if you are a Lightning McQueen fan like myself and Liam Lawson are, Doc Hudson, who's the Lightning McQueen's mentor in the franchise, says turn right to go left, left to go right. I think Zunberg tried taking that, but just didn't manage to.
Yeah, Kevin Zunberg taking his own lines here in Abu Dhabi. Pablo is out. Oh, he's retired as well. But he's retired on the straight, coming down towards turn 6. That is a really, really strange place to DNF. As we're riding on board with Ivan, and just as we get here, that's where he's crashed out. That is really strange down the straight there, Harry.
Yeah, I think it's now, because we're in that final minute and 20 seconds. It's like you aren't going to get to the line with enough battery to do a proper push. Again, because you've already depleted it on the run to turn 1, on the run to turn 4. It just kind of becomes a wasted opportunity, because you'll have to drive slower to end up harvesting that battery, and as a result...
Ivan and Salvo have just crashed. What is going on with drivers here, Harry? Because he's just blocked him on a flying lap, so he's just gone and crashed into him. Like, that is the 3rd or 4th time we've seen a driver block each other in this race, and then they've just smashed into each other.
Salvo's just parked it on the apex as the Alpine comes flying around off Benjamin as well. Crazy. It's almost like they're all giving each other goodbye hits or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, I've had enough of you these past 10 races. here's a slap round the face to deal with it.
Yeah.
But hopefully we could get some fighting for pole. Ward's currently 13 thousandths up. Tiago, I believe, slightly down, and Tisho slightly up as well. And then White Sheep 95 thousandths up, now a tenth and a half down. It's all going to be about the final sector more than anything, as Tiago starts his final sector pretty much 2 tenths down. Tisho 9 thousandths up in the first sector. Will he maybe have that inkling of hope as Nick goes to second? He's going to be a tenth and a half down as well. It really just isn't piecing together as Mattia Manga goes to fifth. White Sheep round the final corner for the final time in Abu Dhabi. Only 6th fastest for the Haas driver. Then it's Tiago into the pit lane. Goes the Scuderia. Then you have Vessel and Diogo Silva. Sieb up to third. Tisho round the final corner now. Can the Ferrari do any better? No, they can't. So it's all down to Wards, who will go to pole. A brilliant lap, a 10th clear of the Ferraris, who, I'll be honest, look so dominant, but ends up falling at that final hurdle, which is a shame to say the least. But it'll be Wards who will grab pole, unless, yeah, Ward will grab it, because both of those cars are yet to set a lap low on an invalid run. But boy, oh boy, what a session.
Yeah, what a qualifying session. So Wards has taken pole position here in Abu Dhabi for the final race of the season. We've seen a lot of drama on track, so we'll go through it. Wards with a 5-place grid penalty will start on pole position. Ticho, the Dutchman in the Ferrari, starts in P2. Nick and Sieb will lock out the second row in the V-Cab and the Mercedes. Tiago in P5, Mattia Manga in P6. White Sheep in the house, the champion, in P7. ICS Matt in the Kicksauber in P8. Benjamin in the Alpine in P9 and Matthias Scully in the Williams in P10. Then comes Diogo Silva, TRT Zane, IRT Boom, Vessel, Christian, Ben, Pablo, Salvo, Ivan and Kevin Zunderberg will start P20 for tonight's Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'm just checking some of the things being said, but there's no restart coming, so Wards will be starting 6th place as a result of his 5th place. But yeah, Salvo's also put his hands up saying that's his fault, which is a wise thing to do, especially after butchering 2 drivers' laps. I think that's the least you can really do, is say sorry. But yeah, Boom has said that there will be no restart for the the grid drops is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Usually we'll see a restart, but not today. Also, looking at the sky there, Harry, it looks a little bit cloudy. Yeah. And
I was going to say it's daytime.
Yeah, it's light, but you can see grey clouds as well in the sky, which is strange.
Yeah. Tiago's just put out a question mark to restart, and Boom's just gone, no. A very firm answer from the Racing Bull, just dismissing that Ferrari. I don't really know why they want a restart. It gives them an extra place on the starting grid. Unless they want to try and fight for that championship a bit harder, then go at it. However, yeah, strategy is going to be crucial. This is my time. But yeah, hards and mediums are probably your favourable tyres. I'd say no matter what happens, it's a one-stop. There'll be the odd one who does like 8 laps, 10, 11 laps, and do the 2-stop, but I do think the hards to the mediums or mediums to hards is straightforward, but the best way.
Yeah, I agree with you, Harry. I think the strategy, I don't think anybody will even touch the softs for tonight's race. It'll all be about the strategy, keeping hold of your tyres, getting the mediums and the hards up to scratch, looking after them, and getting into that pit stop in a safely manner. And staying out of trouble is going to be a big one. If you get damaged, you're going to have a few issues on track. As you said, I am surprised that there's been no restart. We have restarted it all season when a driver's got a grid penalty, so I am surprised to see there not be a restart, considering it's the pole sitter who's got the 5-place grid penalty.
I believe it was because it was a collision. Because you, of course, brought it up early on. I believe it was Ward's end impeding another driver. So in that sense, it's a deserved penalty.
Yeah.
Whereas the earlier times this season, it would be for something silly, like someone's gone wide or someone's pushed them off the track and the wrong driver got the penalty, in a sense.
Yeah. As Harry said, explaining it very well there, and why sometimes there is a restart and why there isn't. And for the final time this season, as I've just seen in the chat, ICS Matt is a little bit annoyed that the meter boards have been removed, so somebody's been crashing into them.
I was just going to point that out, but yeah,
Here we
5
go.
lights now on the way up. I'll hand it to you.
Here we go, this is it for the final time here in Abu Dhabi for PSGL, and it's lights out and away we go. Nick did get a good start, he's going to go up the inside of the Ferrari in towards turn 1, backs out, here comes the Mercedes of C, then you've got Thiago, Mattia Manga, White Sheep, ICS Mai is making a move on Benjamin around the outside of the Alpine, here comes TRT Zane, flying like a papaya rocket ship, Vessel is throwing IRT Boom as they go wheel to wheel down in towards turn 4, but it's IRT Nick that is now into the lead of the Grand Prix as he fights with Ticho. It's a drag race as we go down in towards turn 5. Seeb is watching these two scrap for the race lead. It's Ticho demoted to P2 and it's IRT Nick in the lead. Here comes Seeb up the inside of turn 4 and he is going to go for the move as he lunges in, gives him a little tap, but it's the Ferrari that gets the better exit. Mercedes off the track, and what a start to this Grand Prix, Harry.
Yeah, Pablo went round in turn 5, but the two continuing it. Seeb to the outside here for turn 8 on T-Show. Can the Mercedes finally pull off a switchback and get past the Ferrari? If you haven't noticed, mediums and hards on pretty much all across the field. It looks fairly uneven because there's only 4 drivers on the hards. Expect them to walk themselves backwards in these early doors, but as things stand, T-Show somewhat coping with the pressure. He hasn't dropped out of DRS yet, but you've just seen how aggressive everyone's been on it as we are about to start the second lap, as I've just had the possible strategies message pop up on my board, and for some reason there's a free stop as a possible strategy, which is confusing to say the least. However, Nick is going to continue to pull away with T-Show as Seeb has slightly dropped off, but White Sheep, they're poised in that Haas, ready to try and pounce on the Mercedes, but no move yet to come. Could there be one into turns 6 and 7?
Yeah, Salvo getting the move on Christian, going for that Max Verstappen lunge, but it is Ticho that will chase down Nick with the rear wing open for the very first time. And that downforce on that Mercedes of Seeb behind is magnificent. He's got some straight line speed there. Here comes IRT Boom on Matthias Gullit, and the Frenchman can see Boom coming up the inside. He goes around the outside of turn 6. And now he's going to head down towards the hairpin. Matthias Gullit is demoted to P13. There goes Ticho. And that is Seeb coming back at him. It's a yellow flag. It's a Mercedes that's round. And we've got a few battles on track. I think that might be a VSC. It is a VSC. It's neutralised the race. IRT Boom has been given the position back from Matthias Gullit, who wiggles his wheel in frustration. So I'm not sure what happened there. But it is Pablo that is round on lap 2.
Yeah, I think Pablo ended up just parking a bit, because that's very awkward, spinning on the exit of turn 7 and then not going back underway. That's what I noticed, so I think there could have been some attempt to force one, but into the pits comes some drivers, one of which being Vessel in the Haas and also Christian in the McLaren, making an early stop, maybe looking at trying to pull off a 2 in this race, because likelihood you do 27 odd laps on a set of hards, you're going to have to be a tyre whisperer. But Pablo retires as Thiago has got a drive-through penalty in that Ferrari. Absolute pivotal in this championship, of course, Ferrari versus Haas. But we go back underway up towards turn 6 now. Can T-Show try and set up a move on the Racing Bulls? Didn't manage to do a lap ago, as they now drop down through those gears under braking, only to now start climbing back up through them, almost as if it's like one big power surge on the brakes. But for the sake of T-Show, he just won't have the traction to try and compete up towards turn 8. And there we go. That's another wasted set of opportunities for the Ferrari. You only have so many of them, and then it's the checkered flag, so you have to make every every single one of them count while they last. As we now just go back into that slower, snaky section of the lap, all about keeping those tyres into the temperature range. But White Sheep all over the back of Seb, as if dirty air is non-existent, as into the pits comes Tiago to serve that drive-through. As I believe Nathan's disappeared, so I'll continue on.
Oh, sorry.
My journey.
I do apologise. Yes, as you said, Tiago got a drive-through time penalty. And you know what's brutal about this, Harry, is the pit lane in Abu Dhabi is so long. So he's going to be looking at like 30 seconds as a drive-through. Kevin Zunderberg is going through on salvo in towards turn 5, gets the move done on the salvo driver, but we're back on board with the leaders. Here comes Ticho on Nick. I would say as well, there was a couple of drivers that ended up pitting. There goes Ben on salvo as well. The Alpine driver salvo losing a few places now. Yeah, what I would say is a few of the drivers, just 2 of them, pitted under the VSC. Now, I don't think that's a bad strategy. They're on the next tyre compound and they can go for as long as they possibly need to. And they might even go until they can try and get a safety car, because they've not got to pit again. So they can just go as long as they possibly can and hope that something else happens in this race. And who knows, or they could even commit to a 2-stopper now, because they've not lost as much time as some of the other drivers. Yes, they went very early. Yes, the tyres wouldn't have been worn down, but it gives them alternatives now.
Yeah, it definitely does. But now you've brought that up, and now looking at the deltas, T-Show is actually getting closer through every corner on Nick. It does look like the hards are the better tyre, despite some of the mediums just setting that fastest lap. Ivan into the pits now. You can see so many cars pitting in the first 5 laps. It's definitely looking like a 2-stopper based off the tyre wear. Yeah. And even how T-Show is getting closer to the lead. This is in fact the closest they have been entering turn 5 all race long. So this could be a prime opportunity for the Ferrari now as we work our way down one of the 2 back straights. Can the Ferrari set something up here? He will not look to the inside, but who will is Wards on their teammate Matthew Manga, and then even Mattis Gullit to the inside of Boom. Never mind, as we will go back up towards the lead drivers. T-Show gaining, but not gaining enough to go for a lunge into turn 8, so he's going to have to wait a while longer. That's only going to heat his tyres up even more. But who is done with all the waiting is Diogo Silva and Mattis Gullit with a move on Kevin Zunderberg as they go wheel to wheel. It may have ended up being the other way, but there's contact, and round goes the Williams of Mattis Gullit. Kevin Zunderberg drifting out of there as the Williams resets to track. Don't know if that will end up being a penalty coming their way, but already Kevin Zunderberg, just like in qualifying, having zero tolerance for cars holding him up whatsoever.
Yeah, wow. So an incident there as Harry was riding on board. Ticho is still tracking down Nick in that Racing Bull. The gap is 4 tenths of a second. As Harry picked up, the tyre wear is tremendous around here. 31% for the mediums of Nick after 6 laps. So it probably is going to look like a 2-stopper, as Harry called at the start of the Grand Prix. Maybe not the 3-stopper, but who knows? With tyre wear being so high, if the safety car comes out, you might see a 3-stopper. Here comes Ticho once again as Nick is just flashing in front of him, and the Ferrari driver looking for an opportunity through. There goes Kevin Zunderberg on his Red Bull teammate, and Kevin Zunderberg is through. There goes Matthias Gullit on salvo, who's been losing places pretty much every lap so far. Can salvo respond with anything? There's Ticho on Nick again, and no, it's only a tenth of a second. It was close. What about Kevin Zunderberg on IRT Boom? He's got the DRS, and there's the Diogo Silva and Ben behind him. The Alpine driver's going to go the long way round and then switch it back up the inside. He's going to get the better exit. He's going to have a bit more straight line speed. Here he comes, the Red Bull and the Alpine. Kevin Zunderberg's in front. They're both going to have to slam on the brake pedal. Side by side they go, barely touching, barely fitting through there as we go around turn 14. Beautiful stuff by Ben in the Alpine with that incredible overtake.
Absolutely brilliant is what I can say. I'm just as gobsmacked as you are. Yes, the fancy language is coming out for the final race of the season. But these drivers honestly giving us more of a wrestling match than an F1 event, as we've seen quite a bit of Argy and also overtaking everywhere. Salvo 3 seconds, but Tisho is about half a tenth back from where they were a lap ago. But the exit, they gained 2 tenths on Nick. It just shows how much stronger those hards are. As you said, he missed out by a tenth last lap. He's already only double that or whatnot. Going into turn 6, it's almost definitely on here now. As we go down to turn 8 once again for the 7th time in this race. Can Tisho pull to the inside? He will do so, and he'll go for the lunge as Christian gets 3 seconds. Tisho gets the move for the lead, and hopefully that is a done deal for the time being, as that Ferrari really did not want to be waiting behind much longer. Of course, those mediums dying and that dirty air just heating those hards up even more. It's almost like chucking them into a slow cooker.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and they're now starting to cook as Tijo 7 attempts clear of IRT Nick. Then you've got Sieb and White Sheep, the world champion, the 2 Aston Martins. TRT Zane is going for the undercut in the McLaren. He's into the pit lane now. Kevin Zunderberg stays out. Is anybody else going to commit to the pit stop? They're not. 8 laps down, that is Salvo that goes in. Tiago with that drive-through time penalty, he's staying out, but still the drivers, IRT Nick might have lost DRS here, and if he does, he's going to be open from his esports teammate of IRTC behind him. Let's have a look. I don't think he did. He didn't. The rear wing is not going to open. So now Sieb is going to be gifted an opportunity. There's a yellow flag, and that is Kevin Zunderberg that's out. He's crashed it. He's lost his front wing. Yeah, he's retired. That is it. Retired on track. He's done and dusted for the season. And not a great way to end your campaign there for Kevin Zunderberg. IRT Steve is going to go for the move on IRT Nick. Down in towards the hairpin at turn 9 we go. With that rear wing wide open, giving him a bit of horsepower. Here comes White Sheep to take full advantage of IRT Nick's slowness on them old medium tyres, and he does make it through. Ben is through on IRT Boom, but he's got a little bit too wide, and the Racing Bull is going to try and come back at him, but he's not able to get back through, and Ben completes the move.
Yeah, all I know is it was the French that did it to Kevin Zunderberg, because that's what they've instantly blamed it on. Because they've immediately gone to the general chat and went, always the French, bro. So I'm assuming that is what pretty much happened for the Dutchman, which is a shame. Of course, you don't want to be ending such a strong season, a win, 4 podiums, a race ban, and a 6th place as well. You don't really want to be ending it on a DNF. It's just making it even more bittersweet than it truly is. However, that's such a shame for the Red Bull, as you can just see Tisho has flown away as Sieb 2.2 behind. The man who was leading only 2 laps ago, 3 seconds down the road, and 2 cars between them, as they almost went into the back end of the Haas drive and sent them for a little trip around this circuit, and of course a little 360 as well.
Yeah, and it's as you said, Harry, Ticho he's flying away, and he's 2 seconds clear, and I think White Sheep and Sieb will be looking at this and thinking, we need to do something here. Maybe the undercut, they've surely got to think about it. Ticho, because he's built that gap, he can stay out. He can give them a lap. He can go a lap later, have a lap fresher tyres, and give them a couple of seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if I see them go in on this lap. IRTC picked up a 3 seconds, and they're not going in. Even with 55% wear on their medium tyres, they are staying out. And that means that Ticho can potentially build an even bigger gap. I know he's on a different strategy with the hard compound tyres, so he'll want to stay out for as long as possible. But he's got a lot of medium runners behind him that'll be looking at this gap and trying to weigh up their options, maybe even engineers in their ears, trying to just tell them, right, we've got this gap, and we need to see the tyre delta for these, and there's just so much going on. Matthias Gullit is going to go for that move on Diogo Silva straight in towards turn 5, done and dusted before the DRS kicks in.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what strategy is anymore. Usually I'm somewhat with an idea, but yeah, as you said, 55% so far. Those tyres are roasted. Literally, I don't know if I can tell a difference between a set of these tyres and a roast chicken or whatnot. They are pretty much on their last legs, literally speaking, as yeah, it's going to be any time in which they pit, as Tisho's already taken out another 3 attempts this lap. I don't even think the Ferrari's pushing anymore. He's just like, I've got that gap, I'm going to save until they pit, then I'm going to push a few laps, and then I'll come back in with an even larger tyre delta, as I believe that is Matt who is pulling the trigger in amongst that queue. The Sauber into the pit lane, trying to go against the grain. Whether or not going against it will work, sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. It's always worth a gamble, and it's a pivotal time when Harry, it's coming around.
As this is going on, I'm on board with Salvo and Vettel, and they are giving us an absolutely spectacular battle. They've gone wheel to wheel through the whole of Sector 3. Salvo and Vettel are just like, yeah, we're at the back, let's put on a show, and it is just incredible to watch. Finally, Salvo's away from Vettel, but that was so amazing to see. TF10 Wards is on the back of Nick, who started to slow down drastically after being the leader of this Grand Prix. He's struggling on the mediums, and I tell you why, because they're on 69%. Here comes Wards with the DRS. He's going to move around the outside of the Racing Bull, and he's going to have a bit more grip, because he's a 10% fresher is Wards, so he's going to be able to get the foot down a little bit early, and you can see Nick already struggling. And TF10 Wards is through in the Aston Martin, but yeah, I just had to pick up on that because that was beautiful.
Yeah, honestly, even though they are in 23rd and 22nd and 24th in the championship on like 2 points each, they're giving us a show like nothing's happened, as Ward and Nick both into the pit lane. That leaves Matthew Manga, Ben, White Sheep and Sieb out of those front group yet to pit, so they will be the ones struggling. But one thing I'll comment on is, if you remember back to Kota, another high wear circuit, Nick's tyres were wearing out in the rain about double as quick as anyone else. I do think that is an issue on his behalf in terms of time management, and that's why he probably started walking himself backwards down the field, as you've got Benjamin against Matthew Manga to the inside, down the back straight and through goes the Alpine. That's P4, but Matthew Manga will even have a little sniff to that inside, saw whether or not the door was going to stay open, and it didn't, so they will hold off into P5 for the time being, whilst Ben, Boom and Mattis going up towards turn 8. There's Boom to the inside, there's even Mattis Gullit to the inside, and that's 2 places lost in one straight for the Alpiners. There's even Mattis trying to hold it to the outside now on Boom as they enter the final sector. The Williams glances at the inside, has a second thought. That's the joys of overthinking in the modern day. You always think there's space, but there isn't, as Sieb and White Sheep and also Matthew Manga into the pits, Boom into the pits. So this fight between the Williams Racing Bulls and Alpine also comes to a close, as hopefully we will now see whereabouts the Haas driver will come out compared to the likes of Wards, as Zane, I believe, is even ahead of the Mercedes, and by quite a long way. That undercut perfect by the McLaren. They're on 4 lap older tyres. They made a very early stop, and now you can just see the difference it's made.
So all the drivers are now starting to go into the pit lane, and White Sheep going for that move on ICS Matt up the inside of turn 5 before the DRS kicked in. Now the rear wing's open. White Sheep in the hassle. Look at the straight line speed. He's going to maybe attack Nick as well, who's just gone for the undercut, and Sieb goes for the move on Wards. Now here comes the Racing Bull of Nick up the inside of the Aston Martin, but White Sheep is going to read him. He's going to try the old switcheroo on the Racing Bull. Here they come. We're going to have a freeway battle all the way down in towards the hairpin at turn 9. The Aston Martin driver stays in front. White Sheep is through on Nick. Is he going to go for that lunge at the inside? He's not, but he covers off that Racing Bull behind. So Nick will have to settle back in for P9. White Sheep is through. There goes ICS Matt, and he's like, nope, he's not settling in yet. I want a piece of the action down through the next chicane, through sector 3. Benjamin picking up a time penalty. Beautiful battling, a great duel between the Sauber and Matt, with a fantastic move and into P9 on that Racing Bull. And Nick, for some reason, is losing tremendous amounts of positions after leading this Grand Prix. I'm not sure where his pace has gone, but he cannot find the heat on them tyres.
Yeah, it's a joys of having early tyres, you know? Like, you have to nurture them, especially the hards. They aren't easy to get into their window. You really need to put that energy into them in order to have some hope. But you, as you said about Matt working his way backwards, Nick is almost going for the move in the Racing Bulls as well. Got so close. I'm pretty sure they may have ended up giving the rear end of the Sauber a little kiss going through turn 5, as now hopefully this could be a fatal blow for the Racing Bull, not Racing Bulls, the Saubers. The Racing Bull goes to the inside. There we go. My English getting a bit better. As off the track goes Nick, but he's going to try and keep it wheel to wheel as long as possible as they now work their way down towards turn 8 and the Racing Bulls up into P8. What a coincidence, as there's Matthew Manga and Benjamin also having a little switcheroo, and then even further back it's not Ivan, Boom and Ben also having a swap. So many cars going for moves into that 8th corner.
You are right. There was a hat-trick of overtakes then, which we thoroughly enjoyed with Harry's commentary on top of it. It's always great to listen to. And here comes Nick, and he's got a 3-second time penalty. Constina always likes to check the tyres, no problem. So the tyres at the moment, that's how we're looking. Some have pitted, the top 3 are yet to pit. But they've got TRT Zane, who was TRT Zane one of the drivers. Oh, he went for a huge undercut, didn't he? He pitted on like 8, yeah. Vessel with a 10-second time penalty. Oh, and that's it. He calls it a day, and that is the end of the season for Vessel. We are at the halfway point here in Abu Dhabi as the sun sets. The LED lights start to beam onto the circuit. Here comes TRT Zane on Tiago. And then you've got the Mercedes of Ward as well, who's going to try and go for a move down in towards turn 6. At the left and right hander, the Ferrari and the Mercedes squabble for position. But Tiago on them 14-lap-old hards is not able to hold on. Sieb is through, and so is Zane.
Yeah, that's just a shame for Tiago. But, yeah, you have to expect that. That's 14-lap-old tyres on the Ferrari. The now Wards, who was in your eyes the Mercedes, instead the Aston Martin going around the outside, breezing past the Scuderia, and then even White Sheep shimmying their Haas around the outside in a lovely move. Just had the car ahead, thread the needle, and they just went straight on through with it, as that is just some very smart racing and also efficient for the Haas car's sake. If Wards and White Sheep can work like that, maybe see him really put some danger onto the back of the Mercedes and the McLaren in the coming laps, as they do look like the quicker cars. But who is the quickest car is Benjamin with a 25.28 in this race. Your fastest lap so far, as Salvo has found themselves round in turn 14, now back underway.
Yeah, spinning it just where Latifi did. Here comes Sieb on TRT Zane, and the Mercedes driver is through. What about the Aston Martin of Wards? He's also going to take a cheeky move. Surely not White Sheep as well? No, he thinks better of it. No point in ruining his race at the moment. He wants to end this season on a high, especially after being crowned world champion here in PSGL F2, PSF2. And now here comes White Sheep. Nick makes the move on Tiago, and White Sheep makes the move on TRT Zane. Later on the brakes for the Haas driver, and a delicate move once again for the world champion. And they're all starting to make moves. They're all on different strategies, and I'm sort of trying to catch up to where everybody's up to, and it's actually quite difficult because I don't know who's on the best strategy yet. And I love races like this because you don't know where everybody's up to. Here comes Sieb on Matthias Gullit, who's now going into the pit lane, and the Frenchman goes in and picks up a 3-second on his way in, which will be removed. We know there's a pit entry track limit problem here in Abu Dhabi, so I'm sure that will be removed. It gives you a straight 3 second instead of a track limit. So TF10 Wards is now into the podiums. Seb 18 seconds behind Ticho. Ticho is in a pretty comfortable position. Yellow flags there as well, and I don't know who that was.
Christian. He's got no front wing at the moment, so I do think he's had a little wander off the road and lost it, as they're just limping around that final sector now. Unironically, shimmying theirself even closer to T-Show as they go for a very wide line. But back to those ahead. Seb under pressure from not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but up to 8 cars on whether or not Matt can creep into that 1 second range within a matter of moments. This could be a pivotal moment in the Mercedes race. Of course, different strategies, as you said. Zayn on 9-lap old hards as T-Show into the pits. So let's see where that Ferrari will come about compared to the rest of them, as Seb should, by my calculations, take the lead of this race and send themselves on trajectory to take their 3rd win of the season. They won last week in Brazil. They won a few weeks before in Barcelona, as they could be the first and only driver this season to grab 3 wins, as T-Show coming out in between Zayn and Matt, and then I believe that was the lapped car of Christian also chirping in just behind Benjamin.
Harry, I cannot believe where Ticho's come out here. He's on fresh medium tyres with 11 laps to go, and he's going to make a move on TRT Zayn. And for me, Ticho is in absolute prime position for this Grand Prix win. There goes Benjamin on ICS Matt. Can see ICS Matt get the old switchback on the Alpine. He can't on this occasion, but he is going to have that DRS. Here he comes once again. The kick Sauber on the Alpine into the slipstream, but he's not got the straight line speed to get past. But yeah, talking about Ticho here, he's in the DRS train of the front 4 who are leading this Grand Prix. 2 of them have got time penalties, so the only people he needs to overtake is White Sheep and Woods to win this Grand Prix, and he's on fresh tyres coming out of the pit lane and joined straight back into the train. This is Ticho's race to throw away. There he goes, up the inside of the Racing Bull, who's definitely not going to be welcoming or giving him a warm reception to the inside there, but here he comes. IRT Nick is going to go up the inside, and he has a huge snap, and Ticho is now a second behind White Sheep, but he cannot get caught up behind drivers like Nick, especially when he's on fresh medium rubbers.
Yeah, also Zayn into the pits. He's gone for that 2-stop in this race. It'll be interesting to see if they can work their way back up into the points in that McLaren. It's a tall order regarding how I believe it's 8 of them all in like the same DRS zone at once, and then all 10 of them in the same straight. It's not an easy job whatsoever. There's at least 10 seconds between the top 10, and then another 10 seconds between 10th and Zayn in this race. So do expect a big challenge to come that McLaren's way if they are to recover, but it does seem like it could just be them on that 1-stop. Not 1-stop, 2-stop, as most cars do look like they are in the position for 2-stop. As T-Show managed to make 18 laps on the hards, now a 12-lap stint on the mediums or whatever should be light work.
Yeah, you would think so, Harry. You're right. He's caught back up to the front 3. My only worry is by the time we get to lap 27, 28, how bad are their mediums going to be in comparison to the hards? But the fact that the hard runners are already, you're talking about White Sheep, already 33% on them hards. So I think they're going to be quite similar. So Ticho needs to get a move on right now so that he's the car in front, and that's exactly what he's going to do. A late lunge up the inside, Max Verstappen-esque from the Ferrari as he goes wheel to wheel with the Haas driver, and he's going to burn that battery with the DRS, and he is in front and into P3. He's only got Woods to go. He don't need to worry about Sieb, and this is what he needs to do. Benjamin on IRT Nick up the inside of turn 6. Mattia Manga, the Italian, on the inside of the green machine of ICS Matt in the Kick Sauber. Here comes Ticho, and he makes it 2 from 2. The Ferrari is into P2, and he is looking for a race victory, and comfortably at that. He is on fresh mediums. He is now into P2, and by the end of this race, you want to be the car in front, especially around a circuit like Yas Marina.
Yeah, such a difficult track to overtake, but Tisho with that tyre delta just slicing their way through, as Sieb is probably going to get overtaken in, I want to say, the next few corners. Even expect a lunge into turn 1 at the rate in which the Ferrari is going, but what a season Tisho's had. He's second in the championship, he's sealed that, but if you look at his results, he's came 6th twice, he's got a 5th, he's got a 12th, he's got a DNF, he's got a 7th, he's got a 9th, he got a 2nd in round 2, and then he's been top 2 in both the last 2 races. This could be his 3rd top 2 in a row, and could make it his 2nd win of the season, 2nd in 3. So he's ending it in tremendous fashion as to the inside, with a tremendous amount of top speed over the Mercedes, and through they go into the lead once more, as it's now all about either dropping the ball or holding them all up and being a pain in the backside for the likes of White Sheep.
Yeah, and IRTC's got that DRS, but yeah, he's not going to go for the move. He's just going to try and stay in that comfortable position. He's got a time penalty. He knows he can potentially get P4, and if he tries to get a little bit of a gap, potentially a podium. There goes Mattia Manga on IRT Nick, and the Racing Bull. Yeah, absolutely. Here comes the Racing Bull and the Aston Martin, and how many times have we seen the drivers go through their side-by-side this evening? It's so amazing to see the drivers be this good on the circuit, and this is why they are in the 2nd best group of drivers in the world here in PSGL for PlayStation, and once again showing exactly how you respect each other on track and how you go racing. TF10 Wards is 8 tenths behind Sieb, who's now lost the DRS to Ticho. He is on an absolute rampage in that Ferrari. Matthias Gullit is out in the pit lane. The Frenchman calls it an evening and calls it the end of his season here in season 41. Remember, guys, if you are looking for a setup, go to simracingsetups.com, use the code PSGL for a 5% discount on checkout. But it's Ticho that leads, and now Sieb is back within that 1 second, so it's sort of drifting in and out at the moment, Harry.
Yeah, just a little bit about Matthias Gullit. 8 points this season, 1 points finish, and that was 4th. Then he had 1 DNF, 4 do not start, or do not partake, shall we call him, and an 11th. So it was an okay season, regarding he only did 3 races. It's a shame to see him end the season in such a way, with a little bit of a clash with Kevin Zonneberg and then a few other drivers, but yeah, it's just last time we'll probably see them all together out on the track, and they are literally all, quite literally, all together. As they're all sharing the same strip of road as they work their way down that back straight, bar like 3. So yeah, how close these are just insane.
Yeah, it really is. As Harry said, it's just super competitive, and that's why we love to see it, because there's not much between the drivers. We are talking in real life situations here. We're talking millimetres on track. We're talking milliseconds in hot laps, and this is what keeps it super competitive. Here comes Benjamin once again into the slipstream of White Sheep, and you can really tell as well when somebody's using a different strategy, and the reason you can tell is because when you watch drivers like these in PSGL where they're super competitive, a slight difference in setup can be how quick you are coming out of a corner and how quick you are down the straight. You look at Benjamin and White Sheep here, they've both got DRS, but how much quicker is Benjamin on White Sheep as they come down the straight? But then look at White Sheep through the corners and he's all over him. It's just about the strategy and the car setup that they are running here this evening. Boom gets the overtake on Ben. White Sheep is demoted to P5, but Benjamin's got a time penalty, so White Sheep is still on for a podium at the moment if you take into account Steve and Benjamin. However, bear this in mind that there is a problem with track limits on the pit entry here in Abu Dhabi, so whether they will be removed at the end, we do not know. But at the moment, bearing the penalties in mind, White Sheep would be on for a podium. 5.5 laps to go. It's Ticho in the Ferrari that leads as the sun sets to this beautiful season here in PSGL.
Yeah, we just now have to sit and wait to see if there's any more moves, because they're all in like their own little DRS bubbles, if you know what I mean. Like Sieb's got enough top speed in a straight line just to propel himself far enough on the exit of a corner to hold on and not get challenged, to a point where Wards with DRS gains half a tenth in that whole straight from turn 5 to turn 4. As I've just done a little bit of counting while talking, 12.5 cars on that straight between turn 5 and 6 by the time T-Show actually started turning in. That just shows how close everyone is out on track. Out of the 16 cars we have here today, that is just some insane numbers, and that straight's only about 15 seconds in terms of track time. So as you said, millimetres, milliseconds between them all, as they all continue on in their own little groups, as we are about to enter the final 5 laps here today.
Yeah, so they come round the final corner and down towards turn 1. Ticho already coming through turn 2 and 3. And that's all the way down, as Harry said. You're getting all the way down to sort of P9 and P10. It is beautiful to watch. IRT Boom, 6 seconds behind, but the rest of them, the top 8, is so close. All of the drivers have been super competitive, but Tito has just got the strategy right. He went for the overcut, and it has worked. The Ferrari has got it spot on with this overcut. IRTC, that's yellow flag, that's Ivan that's out. And it is in the pit lane, so we will see no safety car at the end of this race. Here comes TF10 Wards. Remember, he's already guaranteed P2 if he stays where he is. That is Ben on Boom, and them two have been going at it like cat and dog for the last remaining sort of 2 or so laps. And it's IRT Boom that's demoted down to P10 in that Racing Bull. Ben in the Alpine up to P9, gets the better exit and absolutely flies away. What about Benjamin, his teammate? You've got Ben and Benjamin, both in the Alpines. Benjamin is on the back of Wards, but he's got White Sheep on his tail, and he'll be looking in the rearview mirror and going, yeah, that's the world champion, I better be careful here. But he's 2 tenths on the back of TF10 Wards in that Aston Martin. Remember, we don't know about track limits, so anything could happen. He could be fighting for position here. The yellow flag is still out. It is Sieb that is starting to hold these drivers up. 4 seconds is the gap. And TF10 Wards, his tyres are on 60%. But if you go to the Racing Bull in P7 of Nick, his are on 70% with 3 laps to go. This is going to be very close till the end of this race, whether his tyres are going to get a puncture or not. Because I know Abu Dhabi is not very forgiving when it comes to tyre wear.
Yeah, it really isn't. I don't know how many punctures I've seen in the history of commentating, let alone the last 2 weeks of commentating in Abu Dhabi. I've seen at least 10 since January started. It's honestly insane. The tyre wear is so high at this circuit, and it was quite surprising regarding the dimensions of it. Most of them are 90-degree corners, or somewhat give or take 10 degrees either side of it. It's not like it's a tyre punisher, but it really does seem that due to the heat, humidity, and then just dirty air all piling onto each other, just to become one big tyre wear sandwich in a sense. But yet again, Ward, C, Ben and White Sheep manoeuvring their way through the hotel section, as Christian getting another penalty. And then also you see Matthew Manga, Nick, Matt, and I believe that is Christian, all in another bubble, only about 4 seconds behind them as well. It's not like they've disappeared, but round goes one of the McLarens. It's Christian, and he's parked in a fairly risky position. He's going to try and get back underway, luckily getting out of the way of Thiago in time, but also in time for another run down the back straight. Can Wards, can Benjamin, or can White Sheep make a move on the car ahead here? As Ben, getting somewhat close to the back end of the Alpine, just didn't manage to get the momentum. They were 10th off on the exit. They lost it all in that straight due to the acceleration, due to the wheel spin. It's just not ideal, as Christian has gone for a spin and now into the wall for that McLaren, and does a little 360 into Tokyo Drift just to put some finesse on them getting back underway, as that's another yellow flag cleared, as Christian really is not enjoying this lap whatsoever. That's his second spin in only 5 corners, as I won't be surprised to see another one coming, as he's just gone off and hit the wall, then got a 10-second penalty for doing so as well. It's just really not the way you want to see a season come to an end. But final 2 laps now, as Sieb, Wards, Ben, and of course White Sheep still going at it like it all is on the line, while Zane only 2 tenths back on Ben.
Yeah, so we head on to the penultimate lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Ticho has been absolutely flawless. Then you've got Wards and Benjamin, White Sheep, Mattia Manga, Nick. Nick, I think, is going to be very, very close to puncture territory by the end of this race. I won't be surprised at all if I see one of his tyres blow out on this very lap. So we will keep an eye on that racing, but it will be a shame considering he's in P7. But well done to all the finishers. Christian is now into the pit lane as well, and he'll probably call it a day. Yeah, that is it. And there goes TRT Zane on Ben. The McLaren driver moves up to P9. Ben is demoted down to P10, but here comes IRT Boom as well. Does look, but doesn't go for it. Back on board with Wards and Benjamin and White Sheep, and none of them can get an overtake. But Ticho 5.7 clear now. What a wonderful end to this season for that Ferrari driver, as we are about to go on to lap 29 of 29. Boom is still on the back of Ben's rear diffuser, just tracking that Alpine as he comes through sector 3, and the Racing Bull just not able to close that gap at the moment. Is Ward's going to go for this move on Sieb? Sieb has saved all of his battery, by the way. He wants to keep this position, and Benjamin as well, half his battery is gone. So I'm wondering if they're just going to stay in position now, get till the end of this race, as we've got half a lap to go to finish off this season. Thiago picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Nick runs wide. Did he get a... No, I thought Thiago is out in the pit lane on the very last lap of the Grand Prix. That's such a shame when you are so close to the finish line.
Yeah, it's almost like falling over the final hurdle, but then is it worth racing 1 lap when you're not in the points? Yeah. It's a debate, but for the sake of doing it, you might as well. It's the final tour you'll get, really. As Salvo, having a little trip, maybe did a few donuts just to wave goodbye for their final time this season, as you've got Sieb, Wards and Ben all so close, but again no moves, as I really do think that Mercedes and the Alpine will definitely try and appeal one of their track limits to get them into 2nd and 4th, as Salvo again going slow. But for the final time this season, it's going to be Ticho who rounds out the final corner to win in Abu Dhabi and to come 2nd in the championship. Then it's going to be that flurry of cars just behind. Of course, Sieb 2nd, Wards 3rd, Ben 4th and White Sheep 5th. That's been reshambled, giving White Sheep that podium, Wards 2nd due to the track limit penalties. So the championship leader can say they won at least one more podium before the end of their season.
I cannot believe that Nick, with 92% on his hard tyres. Did not end that race with a puncture. That is a really crazy on the tyres for the strategy, but fair play to him to get to the end on 92%. But yeah, as Harry said, just reiterate, what an incredible season. White Sheep, you are the world champion as crowned last week, but it is officially over and you are the champion. Ticho, well done once again. An incredible Grand Prix. What a race. A fantastic display of pace. And Ticho 6.6 seconds clear of everybody else on track.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure last time he won it was a 10-second win. As well out in Jeddah. He has honestly had some amazing drives in that Ferrari, especially getting 3 top 2s in the final 3 races. If White Sheep was only a bit close in that championship, it could have been all T-shows, but what a way to end for the Ferrari. At least he can also go home saying he won the Constructors with Ferrari, as that is a season coming to a close. White Sheep can say he won the Drivers, but just narrowly missed out on the Constructors by about 16 points. And then the Ferraris can take some champagne and celebrate with it.
Yeah, as Harry said, the Ferraris, you are the Constructors' World Champions for PSF2 here in PSGL. So well done to the Maranello team and the Scuderia's superstars here in Abu Dhabi, as one of them takes the race victory to secure that title, that team title. So well done to them, and well done to everybody that's participated in this season 41. We will go through the final race standings, but mine's just gone black screen. So
yeah, same here. So what I remember is it was T-Show, Wards, White Sheep, Seeb, Benjamin. Then I forgot from there.
Yeah, great memory. Now it loads. But yeah, there you have it. What a season. Harry, that was a good season for PSGL PSF2. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Of course, tagged along a week late, taking up that main role. Been a joyride, really. Had so many ups and downs, hasn't it? But
Yes.
As a whole, such a brilliant season. Just showing why these drivers are some of the best you have on this game. Even though the game may not be perfect, these drivers definitely driving it to perfection, almost knows the in and out of the game like it's the back of their hand. But yeah, as you said, amazing season. And hopefully can't wait to be back in a month's time for what could be another season of this.
Yeah, so the next season, middle of February, PSGL will be back for season 42. The calendar has already been released and it looks very, very good. But yeah, it was a great season, Harry. I'm glad you joined me from round 2. It's been really enjoyable to sit on to sit on the comms box with you throughout the season. Has been really enjoyable. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for being here in the comms box with me for every Monday night.
Yeah, it's been a joy. But yeah, for those who are curious about the calendar, I'm going to name drop it for you.
Yeah.
It's Barcelona for round 1 on, I believe it's the 16th of Feb for us, 12th of Feb for PC. Then it's Azerbaijan a week later, very tricky street circuit. Expect a few people screaming I am stupid at their headsets after they do a Charles Leclerc. Then you've got a very nice Austrian GP next, always great for racing. I unfortunately missed it this season, but you covered it, so you'll have that experience. Then after that, a week break. So sorry, but the season gets underway, then you get another week off. And then after we go back to Texas, we had such a great race there this season here. We had rain out in the dying embers, saw Nick ending up blowing up about 4 sets of tyres and going from first to last in an instant. Then you go to the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, Then you have round 6, which is Brazil, which is a slightly misplaced track to say the least. Usually you'd expect it as the final 2 races, but let's give it a mid-season show-off. Then round 7, another tough street track. How we had Monaco this season, it's Singapore next season, with round 8 being Spa, which was, of course, my debut alongside you, Nathan. Those memories seem like it was yesterday, but near enough 2 months ago. Then round 9, which is the 16th to 20th, I think it is, in April. That's Abu Dhabi. Then your finale for PS will be the 27th of April with Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I think it's a good season to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, ending a championship in Saudi Arabia is definitely going to be eventful. But yeah, what a great calendar, what a great season, and what a great campaign for these drivers. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting your favourite drivers, supporting your hopefully favourite commentators and your favourite league. A big shout out to all of the team and all of the people that help behind the scenes, the admins, the stewards, league directors, the commentators, everybody, the league owners. And a big shout out to Jess Ball as well, the head of the commentary team, who's done an incredible job at PSGL and made it what it is, and has been so dedicated to the cause and helped out so much, and grew with a lot of these commentators, a lot of these young commentators coming through. She's helped grow and nurse and help develop into amazing commentators. So well done to her. She should be very proud, and I look forward to seeing what she does next. But for me, it is a thank you. Thank you so much for the season. Thank you to you, Harry, as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, of course, as you said. Thanks to Jess. She, of course, gave me the opportunity 2.5 months ago or whatever. Hopefully, I've done enough to keep my place alongside you next season. You have, yeah. But yeah, also thanks to Connor for running this for God knows how long. He, of course, departed at the end of the year. He's been crucial in what PSGL is today and what modern league racing looks like. I'll be honest, most leagues take the basics out of PSGL, if you know what I mean. Yeah. PSGL is probably as detailed as you can get when it comes to all that. So, yeah, good luck to Jess, good luck to Connor, and let's hope we get even more successful with Krypton now taking over for next season in full swing. But yeah, again, thanks for having me alongside you, and I'll hopefully see you next season.
You absolutely will. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you next season. Thank you to everybody. Have a great break. Enjoy it, and we'll see you back here for season 42. Take care, everybody.
Take care.